The delicious piece of fruit might actually be the forbidden rot mouth yuck. It's also infested cheating, a word that carries with a heavy weight of betrayal, has the power of unleash dark consequences in the realm of all cheating and revenge stories. Few are as devastating as the story of the unfaithful wife of 38 years who surrendered to the forbidden romance of a young self. The belly tingles seem to be the fun and games until it makes her seriously inflicting herself in the risk she took. She confesses her dark secret, but she never expected her husband to be a true Sigma role. Before we started with a fake piece of fruit in the like buttons fridge and leave it there, warning the following revenge story will be upsetting to cheaters. My story is from 2021, 2.5 years back. Already I would be come here to share it honestly, but it's not about my husband and me. We've been happily married for 14 years. Rather, this unfortunate event involved my mother, a 59-year-old woman, and what she did to my father, a 63-year-old man. So it's not just the young woman having affairs. Sometimes it's the older woman too. The hair had been happily married for over 38 years until everything changed last Thursday. My parents retired to Arizona 3 years ago. They bought a beautiful home along the river and a new diesel truck with a camper. From October through April. They enjoy their time in Arizona, and for the rest of the year, they embark on exploration, often traveling to cooler places like the mountains or the west coast. They also spend 4 to 6 weeks with my family here in the high elevation country of Utah. My husband has set up fully RV hookups on a property for them, complete with electricity, water, and septic connections. We owned 16 acres, and my husband, kids, and I always love their company. We love visiting their home in Arizona too. It's always an exciting experiences with their boat and jet skis, so much so that we sometimes go in the midsummer. Hit my brother and his family who live in Georgia also visit my parents at least once a year. They cannot visit as frequently as we do not, but they make the effort. Until recent events, I could proudly say that my mom and I and dad I had an ideal marriage. Both my parents were role models for my brother and me. We raised our families based on the values they instilled in us. So you get the picture. Our family life was as ideal as it gets by the American dream standard. Now let me tell you about how things changed. My parents lived in a great community in Arizona. Everyone there was friendly except for this one woman. There was something about her that I could not put my finger on it. She just rubbed me the wrong way. Let's call her Josephine. Josephine, a 64-year-old divorced whose journey partnering was loud and obnoxious. Surprisingly, my mom hit it off with Josephine and they became good friends. A red flag right there. As my mom is typically not a party person and drinks socially only a few times a year. Several of my mom's friends also became close to Josephine despite her obsessiveness. They seemed to like her on numerous occasions. I explained my suspicions about Josephine to my mom, but she brushed them off, assuring me Josephine was harmless and had a heart of gold. Here's where things started going south. Joseph bought a boat a few months ago, which my dad helped her choose, and both my parents taught her how to drive it last Tuesday. My mom, Josephine, and another friend who we'll call Jenny went out for happy hour drinks around 6 p.m. Second red flag, they headed to a local river bar on Josephine's boat, planning to enjoy a couple of drinks near the water and chat for a few hours. My dad informed me that around 8 a.m. mom called saying they were going to stay out for another hour. She mentioned that they had bumped into a friend of Josephine's and planned to stop by this person's riverside home for a bit. This was another red flag as mom was extending her evening out. Moreover, the identity of this friend was a mystery, however, that he did not seem concerned. Mom returned home just after 9. Everything appeared normal unless they became. When them on Thursday, the three ladies planned to go back to the bar to relax and enjoy happy hour drinks on the patio. This was the red flag number 4. As I mentioned earlier, mom does not typically drink, yet within the same week, in just over a few days, she was out socializing and enjoying happy hour drinks. During this sudden change in behavior was a huge warning. Sunday evening, Dad and Jenny's husband planned to work on their cars, so that ladies going out was not an issue. They left by boat around 6:30 p.m. and planned to return no later than 9 p.m. Dad and Jenny's husband wrapped up their maintenance work around 8 p.m. And they returned home and took a shower. Upon finishing, he noticed a missed call from mom. Curious, he called her back from asked if he could pick her up, saying that Josephine and Jenny wished to stay out later, but she wanted to come home. Agreeing, they drove the short distance to the bar and picked her up. Mom seemed normal during the short ride back home, however. Dad mentioned in retrospect that he did most of the talking, while Mom mostly listened. Upon Eddie being home, Mom fell to her knees in front of Dad and started hugging his legs, her head resting against his stomach. At first, Dad thought she might be getting frisky for sexy time, and but then he realized she was crying. He lifted her up, held and her, asked what was wrong. Mom confessed to Dad that she had cheated on him. She was taken aback, asking her come again. The second confirmation, Dad said he was in total shock. Just kept hugging Mom while she held him, lightly crying. Can you imagine that they had been married for 38 years, a total of 40 years together, and their marriage had been perfect. Now she was confessing to cheating on him. He had to be shocked eventually. Reality set in the end and told her to take a shower and that they would take in the morning. Refusing to let go, Mom clung on to him. He managed to lead her to the bathroom where she showered. When she emerged, he told her she would need to sleep in a separate bedroom. Despite her pleas for him to share the bed with her, he refused and calmly told her they discussed and matters in the morning. Throughout the night, Mom was unable to fall asleep, repeatedly approaching the bedroom. Asking her to talk, he kept urging her to rest, promising to talk in the morning. Finally, around 5:30 p.m. she fell asleep, waking up at 8 a.m. to find that Dad was gone along with his camper. Unbeknownst to her, had moved all his personal belongings into the camper overnight, symbolizing his decision to separate from her. He was done with her. Strong response to her identically. Despite the 40 years story together, Daddy was handling this situation like a pro. He managed to move his belongings without disturbing Mom. The bedroom has a sliding door that opens to the patio, which allowed him to take all his clothes and personal items out through the back door, load them in chamber, and leave. Mom started calling him. Initially, he did not pick up. He then sent her text starting that as for 6 a.m. and on April 9th, they were officially separated, which was that exact same morning. At this point, Mom totally lost it. She called it again. He picked up this time, come repeating what he had written in the next text. He told mom he was divorcing her. Until the divorce was finalized, he would be living in the camper. Mom pleaded with him to talk and give her a chance to explain, but he said he was not interested. He told her she would hear from his attorney once he had on. Before hanging up, Dad said he contacted Jenny's husband. Remember, Jenny was the friend who went out with Mom in Japan, and he informed him about what happened to Mom. I don't know how exactly, but Jenny's husband busted her for cheating too and locked her out of the house. So Jenny is currently staying with Josephine until they sort things out after talking to Mom. Dad called my brother and breaking the news to us. We were shocked initially, thinking it was a joke when the reality of the situation then on us. I could not help but cry. Since then, Mom has been a complete wreck. She spent the last week driving to every campsite in the region looking for Dad. She's logged over 1800 miles. My brother and I know Dad's were bored but have promised not to disclose this to her. We both fully support Dad in this situation and want to respect his wishes as he is the victim here. However, we are deeply worried about Mom. She has not been eating for sleeping, driving around frantically trying to find Dad. We fear she might have an accident, suffer a heart attack, or even harm herself. As she keeps saying she does not want to continue without Dad. Now the question we face is, should my brother and I rebuild? Its location is Mom's anxiety and believe we should not, as Dad explicitly asks for his privacy. And debullying his location might result in the home losing trust, and his request for privacy should be respected. We could tell Mom where Dad is, promising she would not go to him. This might give her some peace of mind, but it could damage a relationship with dad. If we found out we need to support a dad who was blindsided by his wife's actions and maintain his trust, what we need to do is to respect dad's request, providing support for him. I know we must beg dad fully as mom was the one who caused the situation. How she must face the consequences. Just thinking out loud, what should we do? Help me, please. A very concerned daughter. One day later, but I feel the need to update. Mom was in the St. George area the previous evening looking for dad. For those unfamiliar, St. George is in southeast Utah. I persuaded mom to drive up to our house and spend a few nights with us. She agreed and was expected to air in the afternoon. I will update everyone. In the meantime, please keep your tips coming. I really appreciate it. In the flowing was valuable to me. This situation is just terrible and I sympathize with you and your brother. You will sound guide good kids that are up their parents. I think you are doing the right thing by honoring your father's wishes and not disclosing his location. He is the injured party here and he needs time away from your mother to think maybe be together so long. I do hope they can work things on this. Another example of a man devoting his whole life to a woman only to have her disrespected. Discipline him in the worst way. There's no coming back from this way. And I have been married for 24 years, and if she pulled something like this on me, and I found out I would lock her out of the house and immediately file for divorce. Listening to your story is very unnerving. I can understand your dad's frustration and anger with the situation, but I would encourage you to take the high note and forgive your mom. It was a single mistake. She immediately confessed that says something about her character. They would be had 38 years, good years together. There's not something we are throwing away about 1 hour of judgment. We don't buy your mom's story. That this was a spur of the moment things were they on Tuesday night when she stayed out for an extra hour to go to a friend's house. I bet if you press her, you will find these three ladies, as you call them, hooked up with these guys. Then how do we know this? I also was a cheater myself and I can spot another cheater's lies a mile away. Over the last 10 years, significant turns of events had occurred. Mom arrived at my home looking terrible and expressing that she did not feel well. We took shortly everyone greeted her and we let her rest in one of the bedrooms. But an hour later, my youngest daughter started screaming for me to come to the bedroom. When I got there, I see my mom double over in pain from her lower abdomen, the pelvic areas. She could not move, so my husband carried her to the car and we rushed her to the emergency room. She was in terrible pain and was sweating and appeared to have a serious fever. And the hospital, the doctor suspected some sort of infection, possibly an urinary tract infection, and ordered tests. And they also treated her for severe dehydration. As it turns out, mom had contracted a sexually transmitted disease from the man as she succeeded. Thankfully, it was one that was curable with antibiotics. The doctor recommended an overnight stay in the hospital for a month, mom, until her fever subsided and her condition improved. However, after 48 hours, there's no noticeable improvement. Here is where the situation became where most the doctor said she might have a drug resistant form of the STD that has been spreading over the past few years, so they put her on a cocktail of strong antibiotics. After 5 days, her fever finally broke and her condition stabilized. She was discharged from the hospital yesterday. During her stay in the hospital, mom constantly asked about dad. She wanted to know if he did call the check on her. I told her the truth and he had not judged. I don't know how to put it without making it sound ironic, but she is a really young woman. They share troubling interest as she is a traveling YouTube blogger. For the past 4 months, she and Dad have been camping all over the country. She has not featured Dad on her YouTube channel, but has mentioned him in several of her videos. They really seems to have a great relationship. And then they tell me directly that she is happier than he's ever been. And despite his happiness, he is by mother, and that he has no plans to marry again. Interestingly, this girlfriend, so it's the same way she had a failed marriage once, and does not wish to repeat the experience. She loves nature and spending time outdoors, so they seem to be a perfect pair. I live. We covered everything. I want to thank everyone for the guidance and advice. Received here, it was incredibly helpful during this difficult time. Lastly, and to express my gratitude for the interest in my family situation and for all the thoughtful responses you sent. Signed, a loving and hopeful daughter that wraps it up, folks. I am curious to what your take on this story is, as it seems age doesn't always equate to wisdom or good decision. In the end, her poor decision caused her to lose her husband, her lifestyle, the spirit of her family. In essence, her whole life had crumbled due to her actions. Do you think our guy played his cards right, or did it fall too soon? Here's the fun little brain teaser to mull over while staying in our painful zone. Imagine if you are wearing their shoes. You would be spend nearly 4 decades in weighted brace only for your better half to suddenly forget the fidelity part of the bow, and then plot twist they confess begging for forgiveness. Would you absolve them and forgive? Could you overlook this slip, treating it as just a shadow of an otherwise sunny marriage, or would it be a deal breaker, the straw breaking your back, but turning your thirsty for nuclear revenge? Let really I know see you in the next one.